Hello, welcome to Topper Machine. I'm Josh Topper, and today's job is to make some bolts. Not very big ones, just a piece of shaft with threads on each end. So let's get over to the Johnson and start sawing up our material. All right, got my pieces cut. We're just using 1045 cold rolled. No need to go anything fancier than this. We're gonna put it in close to the 𝐾𝐲, face it off, center drill it, and then we'll pull it out and thread the first end. And then we'll flip it around, face the other end to length, and then thread the other end. All right, so I got you guys over here at the boring mill table because we're gonna measure this pitch and just see what it is. I was told it was a 4.5, and the 4 gauge does not fit it well, and the 4.5 fits about perfectly, if you can see that. Kind of difficult to see, but that is a perfect fit. So this is a 4.5, 2 1/4, 4.5. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to match this where they just backed out. We're not gonna put a relief, just gonna run the thread and then back it out. So, be a fun one. Nice big thread, deep cut, lots of cuts, and we'll get this thing done. All right, so what you saw me there do with the threading tool is put my first chamfer for my starting chamfer, and now I'm just going to come down here and just touch it to make a mark so I know where I'm going to. Easier to follow a mark than it is to follow the digital readout. And we'll touch off, zero our readout, and we'll get it switched over for threading. All right, this is going to go pretty quick, so I'm going to just run a pass just to see, not touching, but how quick it goes. And running 90 RPM, I think this will be fine. All right, I don't know if you can see this, but with these big threads like this, there's a lot of tool pressure, and it'll actually push the part into the chuck. You know, I should have a stop inside the chuck. That would be ideal, but it pushed me off my center here. So I'm just gonna retighten that. We'll back off our cuts a little bit lighter, and we'll be good to go. And it'll just correct itself. I mean, it's probably pushed it, you know, started halfway through, and it'll correct itself out as we go. All right, now that we've gone a ways with our threading, obviously we got further to go on that one, but I wanted to come over here and check this out and measure it and just see what it is. So this is my thread measuring wires, and this is a 4.5 pitch. We're going to use the 127 wire, which is this guy. And it's a lot easier to do this when you got a surface like this, like the boring mill here, where you can kind of stand them up. And we'll bring the caliper micrometer in here. And actually I could measure this with a caliper even, because this is not critical in any way, shape, or form. This thing is so sloppy to begin with, and they didn't care to tighten it up, which we could, but they wanted to make sure it was still an easy field install. And the hard part with measuring over wires on something this big is the micrometer doesn't gap the wires the best. So we're just kind of getting her close. 2.277. That's where this one's at. And we should actually consult the book and see what it's supposed to be, which I'll do that in a minute here, but we'll go measure that one and see what I got. All right, so I decided to measure this with the caliper instead of the micrometer, just because it's going to be easier. It's going to carry over the gap of the wires a lot better. So we'll just see where we're at here. I might actually have to go to a bigger caliper just to catch it all, but we're at 350, so we got a little ways to go yet. All right, so I just went and consulted the book and measured up, checked out the thread pitch on the existing one, and it was actually at the minimum requirement for a 1A thread. So it actually was in spec, surprisingly. But we'll just keep plugging away at this. It won't take long. And there she moved on me again, so we'll just be doing a little cleanup, chasing. That's kind of the crappy part about these big threads is it will move on you. All right, let's just take a peek and see where we're at here. I'm thinking we're within probably 10, I'm gonna say. 10 to 15 thou. I was close. So we'll just take a couple more passes and we should be good here. Yeah, we're close. I think we're actually going to be on the maximum side. So we'll take just one more light pass and we should be good to test fit it. I'm just going to hit this with a file quick and just knock any burrs off so we can test fit. Going right there. So I just took another quick measurement over the wires. We are spot on where it needs to be. And let's just see how this fits. Boy, that's kind of loose. I wonder if this nut is wore out. Let's take it over to the shaft he brought me. And like I said, to the book specs, we're right on. I'm looking inside that nut. That looks pretty bad. Let's try the original, just to see how much slop there is. All right, well, this thing's pretty caked with dirt. Here, the other end looks good. Let's just try that. Yeah, this nut must be slopped out, must be bad. But measuring it over the wires, we're dead on. So, wow, it's all the crap falling out of there. So this thing is totally, this nut is toast, unfortunately. Wow. Well, and that's why you never just rely on the nut they supply, because I had a feeling that nut was, I mean, looking at this thing, it's been used, it's been around, so not a surprise that this thing is sloppy as all get out. So, well, that end is done. Well, considering that the nut was completely shot, that came out beautiful. I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful, perfect thread. So I'm gonna definitely have to measure the other one when we do it. I'm gonna end the video here because I think you probably had enough enjoyment of just watching me make a few chips threading this bolt. 1045 cold rolled round to make these bolts. Beautiful material to work with. I'm using a carbide insert, threading insert and a Kennametal holder. They're a top-notch insert. They work beautifully for me. The coolant and the lathe, everything. This is an excellent setup. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the other one. I got the other end and get this to the customer. So check out my website, toppermachine.com. We got some great merchandise in there. We got hats. The pin jaws should be back in stock, unless we sold out again. And we're working on other ideas, other things. Working on a 4-inch jaw, pin jaw, so we're working on that. Working on possibly an idea of maybe an angle plate, some little fixture plate or something. We're coming up with some ideas. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, get out in your shop and get it done right the first time.